In today's video, we shall see how an electric charge interacts with a magnetic field. We know how a charge interacts with an electric field. If you have a positive charge placed in a region where you have electric field directed that way, the force on this charge will also be in that direction, with the magnitude equals to the strength of the charge times the electric field. If we are dealing with a negative charge, then the direction of the force will be opposite to that of the electric field. As simple as that. Now let's assume you have a positive charge in a region where there is a magnetic field. And the magnetic field is going into the plane. So the direction of the field is into the page, magnitude of which is B. If this charge is stationary, then it does not interact with the magnetic field. It won't experience any force from the magnetic field if the charge is stationary. However, say the charge moves to the right with some speed v, then it will feel a magnetic force. The expression for this magnetic force is given by the following vector equation. The force is written in terms of a cross product. The two vectors of the cross product is the first one is the velocity of that charge, and the second is the magnetic field. So what is the direction of this magnetic force acting on that charge? You use the right-hand rule. We curl from the first vector of the cross product, in this case the velocity vector, which is heading to the right, to the direction of the magnetic field, which is heading into the plane. When you curl your right-hand fingers from V to vector B, you see the direction of your right-hand thumb will be heading upward. That is the direction of the magnetic force. So what's going to happen to this charge? It will gradually move upward because it's being deflected upward. What happens if you're dealing with a negative charge? A negative charge with a negative effect. So the force would be opposite to the one felt by the positive charge. So in this case, using the same reasoning, it would be deflected downward. So the direction of the force is downward. Now let's look at this scenario. So you have a region where the magnetic field is pointing into the board, and you have a positive charge, let's say in this case, moving initially with some velocity v to the right. So we know the expression for the magnetic force is given by qv cross b. Now let's see what happens to this charge. Now we know the velocity is to the right, the magnetic field is into the board. This is a positive charge. So as we have discussed a few minutes ago, it will be deflected upward. It would feel a force in an upward direction. So that means it would have a gradual deflection like that upward. So as it gets to that point, its velocity now is going in an upward direction. And according to this cross product rule, when you curl your fingers, your right-hand fingers, from the direction of that velocity to the direction of the magnetic field which is going into the board, you will see that your direction of the thumb will be pointing to the left. So what that means is this positive charge will be gradually deflected leftward like that until it gets to the topmost point. So now the charge is here, it's a positive charge, and its velocity is going to the left. Using the right-hand rule again, you will figure out the force now is downward, which would cause it to gradually deflect downward like that until it gets to the leftmost point, where the velocity is now downward. At that point, where the velocity is vertically downward and the magnetic field is going into the board, the magnetic force would be going rightward, causing it to deflect gradually to the right, completing a circular trajectory, say with radius r. So the direction of the force, the magnetic force, is towards that center of that circular trajectory. Now we have also learned some time ago that whenever something moves in a circular trajectory, it would experience a centripetal force given by the expression mv squared over the radius of the trajectory. So in this case we know that centripetal force, which is a type of net force, must be provided by that magnetic force. Thus, in this case, since everywhere the angle between the velocity and the magnetic field is 90 degrees, the magnitude of that magnetic force is quite simply V cross B. So this is an essential equation that can be used to determine various parameters for this motion. One of them is the speed of that moving charge. Let's look at this problem. A particle with charge minus 3 times 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb is moving with an instantaneous velocity given by that expression. Find the force exerted on this particle by a magnetic field. Part A, where the field is 1.5 I hat Tesla. So we know that the magnetic force is given by a cross product, like that. So let's put in the information required for this cross product. Q is the charge. Note, this is a negative charge, minus 3 times 10 to the power minus 8 coulomb. Now we can try to evaluate this cross product in determinant form. So you have I, j, k on top. The first vector is velocity. It has the I component and the j component. Let's write them out. Minus 3. You can write 10 to the power 4 outside. And the j component, the y component, is 6, and there is no k component. Now the magnetic field for part A is pointing along the x-axis, so it's 1.5 I hat. There is no y component, no z component. And that's going to give you a force purely in z component, because only that component survives, this minus that. Everything else will go to 0. So for part A is minus 3 times 10 to the power minus 4, this times that. Minus 3 times 0 is 0, minus 6 times 1.5, and the direction is along the k hat direction. And that's going to give you an answer of 2.7 times 10 to the power minus 3 Newton in the direction of positive z-axis. Now let's do part B. For part B, the magnetic field is in that direction. So it does not have any x component, but it has the y component with a magnitude of 1.5 Tesla, and there is no z component. So let's calculate first the x component to the force, this minus that, 0. So no x component to the force. Now what about the y component? Again, this minus that is 0. Now finally, let's do the k component or the z component. This times that minus that times that. So the force is minus 3 times 10 to the power minus 4. That is this times that. Times minus 3 times 1.5 minus 0 k hat. Doing the calculation, you will get the answer to be 1.35 times 10 to the power minus 3 newtons in the direction of positive z-axis. And that solves the problem. So this is an answer to part B. Problem 2. A charge 1.602 times 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb with mass 3.35 times 10 to the power minus 27 kg travels in a circular path with radius 0.05 meter in a magnetic field with magnitude 2 Tesla. Find the speed of this charge, calculate the time required for it to make 1/2 of a revolution, and through what potential difference would the charge have to be accelerated to acquire this speed. So now let's assume, just for the sake of the argument, the charge is here. Say it's moving like that. The radius of that circular trajectory is r, and the movement is with speed v. It's moving in a region of the magnetic field, so we know the magnetic force, like that, must be providing the centripetal force mv squared over r. So v goes away, and you can actually figure out v as q r times the magnetic field over the mass of the particle. So let's do that. V is given by the charge, which is 1.602 times 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Radius is 0.05. The magnetic field has a strength of 2 Tesla, and the mass is 3.35 times 10 to the power minus 27 kg, and that will give you the speed in meter per second. And the answer turns out to be 4.78 times 10 to the power 6 meter per second. Now let's look at part B. Time required for it to make 1/2 of a revolution. So 1/2 of a revolution is the length of a semicircle. And that length there, let's call it S, is given by pi times the radius of that circle, half of the circumference of the circle, that is. And we know the distances traveled equals to the speed times the time it takes. So pi times the radius, which is 0.05, equals the speed, which we have already found, 4.78 times 10 to the power 6 meter per second, times the capital T, which is the time that we are looking for. Solving for it, we get T to be 3.3 times 10 to the power minus 8 seconds. And finally, part C. Through what potential difference would the charge have to be accelerated to acquire this speed? So what's happening here? This is the region where you have, say, the magnetic field. And the charge enters the region with some speed v that we have determined in part A. So in order to get to that speed, that charge needs to be accelerated by some potential difference, capital V. So what is that capital delta V should be? Note that by the time the charge gets to that field region, it would have a kinetic energy of half mv squared. That was acquired from the electric potential energy, Q delta V. So when you equate the two forms of energy and see what you have at hand, we know the charge, we know the mass, we know now the speed, you can determine the potential difference needed. So that's how you solve for part C. So delta V equals half m speed squared over the charge. So the mass is 3.35 times 10 to the power minus 27 kg. Speed from part A is 4.78 times 10 to the power 6, don't forget to square it, divided by that charge, which is 1.602 times 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. And doing the calculation, you get 239 times 10 to the power 3 volt, or quite simply 239 kilovolt. And that solves the problem. Thank you for watching.